There's been a lot of talk about this fair tax, and I think some people are being confused into thinking that somehow I'm rattling against the federal fair tax. Just so people know, Mr. Edwards endorsed a bill, for all you fair tax supporters out there, he endorsed a bill, H 3992, that purported to be a fair tax bill, would lift the exemptions on all services and all items that are subject to sales tax, and would repeal the income tax. Here's the problem with it. It only repeals $2.3 to $2.5 billion worth of taxes, and it raises $4 billion worth of taxes, and it doesn't include the prebate that you've heard so much about. I have the numbers, so if anybody wants to see it, here it is. If you want to see it in black and white and still call me a liar, then so be it. But I have the numbers right here. I'll be glad to show them to anybody, and that's a tax increase. However you slice it, going from $2.5 billion to $4 billion is a tax increase. Raising taxes on over 200 items is a tax increase, and that's what Mr. Edwards has supported. I haven't said anything about 23% sales taxes or the fair tax in any of my literature. I'm talking about this bill that Mr. Edwards publicly endorsed.
Thank you.
Is a tax increase.
Okay. Mr. Brown.
Thank you. No, I do not support the fair tax. First of all, it's a regressive tax. It puts a bigger burden on the folks who can least afford it. I also see it as a massive tax increase on the working family while passing the savings on to the corporation and the rich. Also, it repeals the Motion Picture Incentive Act. That's something I care about greatly. I'm in the process of working with the film industry to bring more movie production to the Low Country, especially Hollywood. They have a TV studio there now. They want to expand, and there's other interest for bringing in film production into the area. And so I would oppose this tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pike?
Assuming it comes to me next. Yes, I do support the fair tax. I've been studying it since about 2004, and the biggest reason for me is that it takes power away from the politician. Right? The power of the tax is a very, very strong arm of government. The less power and force that government has over your life, the better. And taking away the massive power of taxation is one way of doing that. It puts it back in your pocket as a person, because when you go out to buy something, it's a consumption tax, right? You choose what you're going to spend your money on, right? That takes away the big power out of the politicians. Secondly, independent studies have always have shown, especially by the book Rich States, Poor States. Mr. Laffer, who was a former Reagan economic consultant, the Laffer curve and all that kind of stuff, you all heard of that, right? Missouri is recently getting ready to pass this fair tax. And they've all concluded that it'll be a great economic boom for the state of Missouri. Tennessee already has a very similar one. They're doing quite well. Our 11% unemployment rate is nowhere near Tennessee's, and it's not near Missouri's. So, on the surface, I can see where people might have some issues with it and scared of it. But when you look, if you dig a little deeper and get beyond all the political rhetoric, it makes some sense.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards.
Number one, I want to address something that the incumbent said just a few moments ago. I never directed anyone to call his house. That is ridiculous. In fact, when we canvassed this neighborhood, I gave very strict instructions to stay not only away from his home, but off his street completely. This is ridiculous. This is nothing that I would ask anyone to do. So, you think it came from me, that's bunk. I'm not sure what you're talking about with regards to fair taxes, with the numbers that you're coming up with. Obviously, we, Leon, I can't believe everything you say, so that's it is okay. Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Okay, all right. We know one thing, that the fair tax will end the tax on productivity. It will end the tax on the productivity of individuals. bills. They'll be able to keep their income. They will be able to keep their money. They'll be able to put it back into the economy. They'll be able to save. They'll be able to invest. That is the whole key. We're moving this from a tax on productivity to more of a tax on consumption. And that is the way our founding fathers started this country. And it is a wonderful program that hopefully we will be putting in place within the next 2 or 3 legislative sessions.
Thank you. Mr. Stavridis, would you like to have an additional 60 seconds? Okay.
Lee, what I said was that you allowed it to happen. I didn't say you ordered it. Your county party chair put my personal home information on her Facebook page, and I've seen pictures of you walking neighborhoods with her. She's been at all these events for you. So, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and say that you told her to do that, because I don't know that. But you definitely allowed it to happen. I would never, ever allow anybody that supported me to do that. If they did it, I mean, I would do something about it, I can tell you that. And again, the bill is not anything I created. Here it is, straight off the state website, H3992. And here are the Facebook, SC Fair Tax Facebook references of you endorsing it. And there's no pre-bid in it. And I have the numbers from the Budget and Control Board right here. You can look at them. You don't have to answer now. You can answer later. And, you know, it is what it is. It is. You should have done your homework and paid attention to what you were endorsing. Maybe you didn't mean to, but these people out here rely on who their representative is. They can't afford a $1.5 billion mistake against them. And I won't make that mistake.
Thank you. Any other? Question number 3. People talk of reducing spending. If you reduce spending, you reduce services. Name a service you are willing to cut. Mr. Brown, please.
Just thinking about my district, they need a lot of help. They really think that state government is not spending enough in my district, and I can't think of any service that I'll be willing to cut at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Pike.
Well, I haven't had the luxury of being in elected office for 10 years to really know and look in depth at our entire state process of budgeting and where the waste really is. I won't know that until we get up there and actually dig and look into it. What I do know is that I believe in our state constitution, getting back to our core principles, our core fundamental responsibilities. That's public safety and infrastructure is my #1 priorities. So when I was in the Air Force, we had to do a thing called rack and stack every year, which meant mission critical first, mission essential second. So you have to fully fund those things that our government is truly core, at its core, fundamentally responsible for. Public safety and infrastructure is one of those items.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards.
I don't think anybody really wants to cut services, but I think we do need to prioritize. But it's very interesting that there was information that came from the Budget and Control Board, another agency that Mr. Stavridis was not able to vote for, that says that only 33% of each tax dollar gets into instructional training for the child. Only 33%. So where's the rest of the money going? And that is what we have to do. This has to be a quest. This has to be a journey of finding out